And the guy who was in jail with us in November, another Iraq vet against the war, who so eloquently talks about what it's like to endure the pains and the agonies of what happened to you, to your emotions, when you go through something as horrible as war. A guy that can express it both just saying it and also singing it. Our good friend, Charlie Anderson.
Good evening. Last night I performed 2 songs and said about 3 minutes worth of stuff, and y'all got me in trouble. I was told I had to talk more. Which is actually kind of strange to me, because usually people are telling me to shut up and sit down. So, but this is Camp Casey, and things are a little different. I joined the military in 1996. I was 19 years old. I was just out of high school. And it's actually the same story that you would hear from almost any other member of the armed forces. I wanted the money for school. I wanted job training. I wanted a little bit of direction. I wanted a place to grow up. But that's only half of the story. And that's the half that people that want to say that I shouldn't do what I'm doing, that's the half that they want to talk about. That's the half that they want to say, oh, well, you know, you knew that there could be war, blah, 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 and you took a gamble and you lost and quit whining. Well, that's actually not true. When I was 19, I had about 6 to 8 months before I went in to actual active duty. I was on the delayed entry program. I worked at a car wash. I saved up $700, and I went and I saw every person I could remember that I said, hey, sometime I'm going to come out and see you. And I didn't do that because I was 19 and I just had some money to blow. I did that because I thought I was going to die. I did that because I thought there was going to be a war. I thought that I was going to go and I was going to volunteer, and I wanted to because I was going to stand up and I was going to defend my country. I don't regret that decision. What I did not know, see, I wanted to defend freedom. I wanted to defend democracy. I wanted to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America against all enemies, foreign and domestic. I believed that my government, if they asked me to go to war, was going to put me in a justified situation, a situation where we didn't have any other choice, a situation where I was going to do that. Well, that is not what happened. What happened was, on September 11th, 2001, some people from Saudi Arabia, possibly financed by a gentleman named Osama bin Laden, flew a couple of planes into the World Trade Center. And the Bush administration decided to use this, just like the Nazis used the burning of the Reichstag, to do many things, one of which was declare war on Iraq, who never had anything to do with any plots against the United States, was not a threat to its neighbors, was not a threat to our government. And for that purpose, whatever that purpose is, by the way, a lot of people say that it's oil. I'm not really sure. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. All I know is a lot of people made a lot of money off of the fact that 2,300 of my brothers and sisters in arms are dead. I don't know why I boarded an airplane on February 1st, 2003, and flew to Kuwait, waiting to go into Iraq on March 20th. I don't know why I missed 4 of the most formative months of my daughter's life. She was 8 months old, barely crawling when I left. She was walking and talking when I came home. The night I left, she looked me in the eye and called me Dada for the first time. And I actually thought she was just making sounds, except we asked her 3 times, and she said, you know, who is that? And she said, Dada. When I came home, but I didn't come home. I came back to the United States. You don't get to go through what we went through and come home. When I got back to the United States, she was walking, talking. She didn't call me Daddy again for almost a year. She called me Mommy, because Mommy was the one that was there. Mommy was the one that was taking care of her. Now, I strongly believed that there were weapons of mass destruction, even though there was all kinds of evidence to the contrary, because I had to believe that the people that died from my battalion, the people that died from other units, and the people that died since, actually, died for a purpose. And I sat down and I cried on the day that I realized there were no weapons of mass destruction. They came out and they reported it. There were no weapons of mass destruction. I sat down and I cried. I was at work. I sat down at my desk. I bawled my eyes out. And that was the day the blinders came off. And that was the day that I realized something, that not only was it not worth it, I also realized that, I was off fighting a war supposedly to defend your freedoms, your constitutional rights. Our government was passing legislation, it was taking them away. I realized on that day that soldiers don't fight for freedom. Soldiers don't fight for constitution. Soldiers fight for governments. Governments take freedom away. Governments limit freedom. Governments make ordinances and laws that prohibit things like the freedom of speech, prohibit things like your right to search and seizure. Governments make laws that say that it's okay to torture people. Well, I'm against this war. I believe I'm probably against all war. But they trained me to be a soldier. And I'm still a soldier. And that's how I'm going to respond. I'm just not their soldier anymore. They taught me to identify a threat, to locate and close with my enemy. And that's what I'm going to do. But I'm not my tools, not my weapons, my tools are no longer the hand grenade and the machine gun. My tools are the pen, the microphone, and the guitar. Because now they have a problem. He doesn't know it. He's not even here, by the way, but he doesn't know that he has a problem. He has a problem because he's got thousands of veterans that are pissed off, fed up, and we're not going to take it anymore because, as they said, those troops are our armed forces. We will recover them no matter the cost. Those veterans are our veterans. Those are people that sacrificed for us. They put everything on the line, whether they believed in it or not, whether they wanted to go to the war or not. Some of them died, and all of us came home less than who we are. And Mr. Bush has decided that he's going to cut the Veterans Administration, that they're going to put enough red tape around it that most veterans are just going to say, oh, forget about my rights, forget about my health care, forget about my benefits, I'll figure another way. Well, I'm sorry, that's not good enough. 30% of Vietnam veterans suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder and were not able to have full and complete lives. I'm not going to take that for my generation of veterans. I've had enough. We're not going to do it. But we all have to stand up together because they don't understand that they're a minority. They want us to believe that we're the minority. Well, they are a very tiny minority. There are very few that see it. We have the power. It is we the people that are going to stand up, and we're going to take this back. We're going to take back our armed forces because they work for us, and we're going to take care of our brothers and sisters because we're not going to let this happen again. They're not going to do this to another generation of veterans.